Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharaka Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching His word in all sincerity and in truth. And this is Romans 15:4. It says, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience," right, which means suffering, "and comfort of the scriptures might have hope." Right, the we being the Israelites, because all the things that were written aforetime were for our sake. All right. Now, at camp, we went over Second Ezra 1 to 2. Good stuff. And I want to continue from chapter 3 and see how much we can get through today. Like I said, this Second Ezra is the second chapter. The first 7 chapters I find very enlightening. Towards the understanding that salvation is only for the nation of Israel. Very enlightening, all right? So that's why I just want to go through it and we see what jewels of wisdom that we could get from it. It helped me when I came into the truth. This is one of the passages of scripture that really solidified my understanding in that. All right. So second Ezra chapter 3 verse 1. In the 30th year after the ruin of the city, right, city being Jerusalem, I was in Babylon, right, and lay troubled upon my bed, and my heart came up over me. So it came up over my heart. Sorry, my thoughts came up over my heart. For I saw the desolation of Zion. All right, he's talking about the Israelites, the people. At that time, it was the southern kingdom, right, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and the wealth of them that dwelt at Babylon. So he see how his people were broke up, mash up, subordinate, down bad as we are today, and how the oppressor, the slave master, right, is doing good. All right. So back then that was them Cushites and co that was reigning over us. Today you got Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the Neo-Babylonian. Right? It says, and my spirit was sore moved. Right? He was vexed. As you get sometimes, man, when you see how these devils be living, like how they really be living, and you get vexed, man. So that I began to speak words full of fear to the Most High and said, O Lord, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone and commandest the people, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. And thou leadest him into paradise, Aidan, all right, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way. All right, and where is the way of the Lord found? Is it found in the Quran? Is it found in one of Esau's textbooks? No, it's found in the scriptures. That's the way of the Lord, which he transgressed. Right, we all know how Adam through Eve fell away from the commandment, and immediately thou appointest death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, peoples, kindreds out of number. And every people walked after their own will and did wonderful things before thee. So that's including the descendants of Adam and the descendants of the other people that was around during the time of Adam and onwards, because Adam wasn't the only one. The people of Adam weren't the only people, because Adam was a people as well as a person, right? And every people walked after their own will and did wonderful things before thee and despised thy commandments. And you can go to Genesis. This is all spoken of Genesis, the 3rd chapter to the 6th chapter, and then follow on towards chapter 9. Okay. And despise thy commandments. And again, in the process of time, thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwell in the world and destroyest them. All right. Genesis 8-9. And it came to pass in every of them that as death was to Adam, so was the flood to these. All right. Nevertheless, one of them thou leftest, namely Noah, with his household, and whom came all righteous men. Now, Noah was specifically of the lineage of Adam through Seth. All right. A specific line. Right. And Noah with his household, of whom came all righteous men, because the chosen seed line, right, exists through Noah. So you had Noah on down to Shem, right, on down to, I believe, is it Arphaxad, Eber, right, on down to Terah, Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. That's that lineage, right? All righteous men come from that lineage. The righteous men is talking about is the Israelites, right? All the prophets and so forth, these are all Israelites. They come from that particular lineage through Noah, right? There ain't no righteous men that come from Edom or Ishmael or none of these other nations that the Lord created. This is specifically from a particular lineage. And it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply, right? So now we're going into Genesis, the 10th chapter, right? 11th chapter onwards, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. Now, when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham. All right. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou shewest thy will. All right. And a lot of this, like I always say, all the covenants rest upon Abraham's covenant. So the covenant with Abraham, and because of the covenant with Abraham, there was a covenant with Isaac. Because of the covenant with Isaac, there was a covenant with Jacob. Because of the covenant with Jacob, the old covenant was established with the 12 tribes through Moses. And because of the covenant with Abraham, a new covenant is being set up through Yahweh Shai. But the covenants all were made concerning a particular seed, which is a seed the Lord spoke to Abraham of, which is his seed, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob is that seed and his descendants, right? That's why, real quick segue, when you go into Luke, the first chapter, right? 68, we bring it out all the time. It's very basic, right? But we got to stick to the basics. Luke 1:68 says, "Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and have raised up a horn of salvation for us being the Israelites, in the house of his servant David," because Yahweh was of David's house through Joseph. You're not, your lineage don't go through your mother, even though Mary's lineage is recorded. Your pedigree ultimately is your identity is declared by your father. That's why if your mother's a Benjamite and your father's a Judite, you're a Judite. You're not a Benjamite. You can never be. All right, you are what your father is. That's the simple rules of the universe. Okay, as he have spoke by the mouth of his holy prophets, which we're reading of one of those holy prophets in Esdras, which has been since the world began, right? That we should be saved from our enemies. So all the prophets have always spoken of this great salvation and this time to come, where the sons of God shall be established. That's what people don't realize. Like, it's all been leading towards this, that we should be saved from our enemies, right? It ain't talking about saving the enemies. It's talking about saving us from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our forefathers. Sorry, it doesn't say forefathers, to our fathers, meaning it's connected to lineage, heritage, Israelite heritage, yeah? Word to Marino, right? And to remember his holy covenant, right? The oath which he swore to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us, that we being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear. So the same for the reason that Yahweh Shai came to save the Israelites is the same reason why Moses was sent to save the Israelites out of Egypt. It's to deliver them from the hand of the enemy, that they may serve the Lord without fear. It's the same thing happening all over again, but in a greater way. All right, I can get another scripture on that, but I want to keep going. So Abraham, the covenant with Abraham is very important. And Paul breaks that down in the book of Galatians, the 3rd chapter. How the covenant that was made at Mount Sinai can't disannul the covenant which was made with Abraham. This is why a new covenant was sought for. Right? One built upon better promises. Hebrews, the 8th chapter. Right? Anyway, and made this an everlasting covenant with him, promise him that thou wouldest never forsake what? Forsake his seed. And Abraham's seed is a physical seed. Right? Don't let anybody tell you no. If in order for you to be Abraham's seed, you need to be physically his seed. Now, in order to confirm your blessing, you obviously need to be of faith. But if you're not of that physical seed of Abraham, there's nothing you can do. Right? And these men try and mess up the thing and mash it up different ways, but no. You have to be of the physical seed first. That's a requirement. Right? And unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau. So Esau was rejected. He isn't part of the lineage. And it came to pass that when thou leadest his seed out of Egypt, again, who is the seed of Abraham? Well, it's Israel, because Israel is a seed that was let out of Egypt. And don't start talking about the mixed multitude, because the mixed multitude was was numbered with the cattle. The Lord did not make a covenant with the mixed multitude. They were not a part of the holy tabernacles. They were separate, as they should be, and they were hewers of wood and carriers of water, man. They didn't have an inheritance with the children of Israel. They were servants. Right. And thou broughtest them up to Mount Sinai, and bowed the heavens, and thou didst set fires to earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and troublest the men of that age. Wait. And thy glory went through the 4 gates of fire, and of the earthquake, and of the wind, and of the cold, that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel. That's who the Lord's dealing with. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them. Okay, so this is what is expounded upon in the book of Hebrews, and Paul also expounded upon it in the book of Galatians. Right, the old covenant that we received, the purpose of the covenant was for us to receive the blessings. So the blessings of Abraham. So you keep the law, you're gonna get these blessings. You get the land and everything that comes with it, right? But the flip side to that was that if you didn't keep the law, then you're gonna get curses. But the problem is because of that stony heart, because of that wickedness that was in the flesh, right? The hardness of our hearts, we couldn't keep the law. All right. And so that set up the situation where we would be condemned by the law and receive them curses. So now the Lord is going to give us basically a better covenant, because in this covenant, we ain't going to break the law, because we're going to be changed. All right, we're going to be changed, where we ain't going to break the law. We're going to keep the law automatically. It's going to be written in our hearts. So it's a better covenant, all right, which fulfills the original covenant made with Abraham. And it's with the same people, all right? That's why I said he findeth fault with them. The fault wasn't with the covenant. The fault was with the people. So now the Lord's going to fix that. through Yahweh Shai and this new covenant. All right. It said, from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them. For the first Adam bearing a wicked heart transgressed and was overcome, and so be all they that are born of him. Thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away and the evil abode still. That's why we've had many salvations. Israel has had many saviors and salvations. But what makes Yahweh Shai's salvation principle and above all is that after we're saved this time, we're never going to need salvation again, because we're not going to go back to do this very same thing that caused us to require salvation in the first place. All right? It's an everlasting salvation. So the times passed away, and the years were brought to an end, and then didst thou raise thee up a servant called David, whom thou commandest to build a city unto thy name, and to offer incense and oblations unto thee therein. When this was done many years, then they that inhabited the city forsook thee, right? And in all things did even as Adam and all his generation had done, like the sons of God. This is a recurring thing where the sons of God have gone astray away from the Heavenly Father. Before we were even known as Israelites, when we was known as just the sons of God, going back into the book of Genesis, we did the same thing. It's a repetition. All right, become apostate. Going after the women of the other nations and following after the ways of the other nations, which was the sin, to follow after their ways. The same thing happened today. It's always happening. Jake falling away from what's right. All right, the sons of God have fallen many times, but after this time, they ain't gonna fall no more. And so thou gavest thy city over into the hand of thine enemies, right? So these other nations are the enemies of the Lord. And their deed, beginning with the Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and Amalek. And their deeds then, are their deeds then any better than that inhabit Babylon, that they should therefore have the dominion over Zion? And this is where you have these devils, right? Esau, Edom perpetrated a lie and tried to pre that the reason that he has supremacy over us is because he's a superior people, intellectually, spiritually, morally, and that's why they labeled themselves white and labeled us black. So we represent evil and they represent good, which is not the case. Esau is not more moral or more righteous than us. It could never be that. Esau is the devil that the Bible speaks of. The reason Esau, just like any other nation that has had the dominion of us, has a dominion, is as a punishment because we broke the laws. It's not because it's like it. I have to finish this up in a pressure cooker. Alright, that's done. It's not because what's wrong with that thing? Yeah. It's not because they're morally superior, and that's what Esau thinks. And that's what a lot of our people think. That's why they worship these devils. Because they think they're morally superior. And that's why Esau, all the wickedness of Esau, he gets the benefit of the doubt. They easily sweep it under the rug, as if it's unusual. But then when Jake do something, oh, that's just who we are. It's our genetics, all this, that, and the other. Just pre how everything works. Esau will do all kind of madness all the time, and it just goes under the radar. People wink at it like it's nothing. It's a madness. But anyway, we'll deal with Esau on another day. Where we at? Right. Are their deeds then any better that inhabit Babylon, that they should therefore have the dominion over Zion? Right? For when I came thither and seen impieties, which means actions lacking in the fear of the Lord, lacking in reverence towards the Lord, without number, then my soul saw many evildoers in the 30th year so that my heart failed me. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and hast spared wicked doers, and hast destroyed thy people, and hast preserved thine enemies, and hast not signified it. I do not remember how this way may be left. Are they then of Babylon better than they of Zion? That's how it is. Like, is them Edomites better than us because they're in rulership? Why are they getting the domination? But it's gonna be answered. Or is there any other people that knoweth thee beside Israel? Or what generation have so believed thy covenants as Jacob? Because even when these devils were pretending to be Christians, they didn't really believe in the Lord. They didn't really believe in the Lord at all. Right? They're not the people, man. And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor hath no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and there's also that dwell in the world, and so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. Or when was it that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight? Or what people have so kept thy commandments? Thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precepts, but not the heathen. So Ezra was hurt, but the angels going, set him straight. All right. So it says of chapter 4, verse 1, and the angel that was sent unto me, whose name was Uriel, gave me an answer and said, thy heart hath gone too far in this world. Yo, and thinkest thou to comprehend the way of the Most High? Then said I, yea, my Lord. And he answered me and said, I am sent to shew thee 3 ways, and set forth 3 similitudes before thee. Wherefore, if thou canst declare me one, I will shew thee also the way that thou desirest to see, and shall shew thee from whence the wicked heart cometh. And I said, tell on, my Lord. Then said he unto me, go thy way, weigh me the weight of the fire, or measure me the blast of the wind, or call me again the day that is past. Then answered I and said, what man is able to do that thou shouldest ask such things of me? And he said unto me, if I should ask thee how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep, which they, there are springs in the deep, or how many springs are above the firmament, or which are the outgoings of paradise? Peradventure thou wouldest say unto me, I never went down into the deep, nor as yet into hell, hell meaning the ground, by the way, before man start getting simple. All right, hell is the ground. Neither did I ever climb up into heaven. That's the sky, right? Nevertheless, now I have asked thee but one only of the fire and wind, and of the day wherethrough thou hast passed, and of things from which thou canst not be separated, and yet canst thou give me no answer of them? And he said moreover unto me, thine own things and such as are grown up with thee canst thou not know. How should thy vessel then be able to comprehend the way of the highest, and the world being now outwardly corrupted, to understand the corruption that is evident in my sight? Then said I unto him, it were better that we were not at all, that we should live still in wickedness, and to suffer and not know wherefore. He answered me and said, I went into a forest, into a plain, and the trees took counsel and said, come, let us go and make war against the sea, that it may depart away before us, that we may make us more woods. The floods of the sea also in like manner took counsel and said, come, let us go up and subdue the woods of the plain, that it also we may make us another country. The thought of the wood was in vain, for the fire came and consumed it. Though the thoughts of the floods of the sea came likewise to naught, for the sand stood up and stopped them. If thou wert judged now betwixt these two, whom wouldest thou begin to justify, or whom wouldest thou condemn? And I answered and said, verily it is a foolish thought that they both have devised, for the ground is given unto the wood, and the sea also have its place to bear his flood. Then he answered me and said, Thou hast given a right judgment, but why judgest thou not thyself also? Everything has its time and its place according to the will of the Lord, man. All right. For like as the ground is given unto the wood and the sea to his floods, even so they that dwell upon the earth may understand nothing but that which is upon the earth. And he that dwelleth upon the heavens may only understand the things that are above the height of the heavens. Then answered I and said, I beseech thee, O Lord, let me have understanding. For it was not my mind to be curious of the high things, but of such as pass by us daily, namely, wherefore Israel, notice he ain't caring about mankind and everyone in general. He cares about Israel. And that's how all the prophets were. Wherefore Israel is given up as a reproach to the heathen, and for what cause the people whom thou hast loved is given over unto ungodly nations, and why the law of our forefathers brought to naught, and the written covenants came to none effect, and we pass away out of the world as grasshoppers, and our life is astonishment and fear, and we are not worthy to obtain mercy. What will he then do unto his name whereby we are called? 'Cause remember, this man's seen years and years of tribulation, Of these things I have asked. Then answered he me and said, The more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel, for the world hasteth fast to pass away, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come, for this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. But as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee, for evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. See? If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then can it come that is sown with good? Right? So we gotta wait for this world to be come to an end and be to destroyed in order for all the good things that the Lord has in store for us to come to pass, which is prophesied in Ezra the second chapter. All right, Jerusalem's salvation. For the grain of evil seed have been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning, and how much ungodliness have it brought up unto this time, and how much shall it bring forth until the time of the threshing come? Ponder now by thyself how great fruit of wickedness the grain of evil seed have brought forth. And when the heirs shall be cut down, which are without number, how great a floor shall they fill? Then I answered and said, How and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil? Right? And he answered me, saying, Do not thou hasten above the most highest, for thy haste is in vain to be above him, for thou hast much exceeded. Right? Everything is in the Lord's time. Like we as men, because we live mortal lives and are very temporal, we want everything microwave. We want it now. It's difficult to have the patience of the Most High, because the Most High is eternal. But we experience time differently. And that's why you got to be spiritual and not carnal. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask question of these things in their chambers, saying, How long shall I hope in this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward? And unto these things Uriel the archangel gave them answer, and said, Even when the number of seas is filled in you, for he hath weighed the world in the balance. By measure he measured the times, by number hath he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. What does that mean? Is that, yeah, we already know that Israel is going to receive the kingdom. But before that happens, the Lord has given everything its time and its place. Every kingdom, every punishment, everything has its time and its place, even down to this time that we're in now. And the time has to be fulfilled according to what the Lord desired. So if that's 500 years, it's gonna be 500 years. If it's gonna be 400 years, it's gonna be 400 years. If it's gonna be 300 years, it's gonna be 300 years. Whatsoever the time that the Lord has determined, that's exactly what it's gonna be. And you can't hasten it. You could desire, but you can't change it. The Lord has already set his time. All right. So we just got to be patient. We hasten for it, but we still got to be patient because it's still going to be in the Lord's time and not yours. Because if it was up to us, we'd end this thing today, right? Because of your own self. But that's not according to the Lord and what his will is and his time. Because what about any elect that hasn't woke up yet? Everything has to happen in his time according to the Lord's wisdom. This is his show. And the same thing applies when you're trying to save the other nations. How dare you? You got to go according to what the Lord is doing. Then answered I and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, even we are full of impiety, right? Lacking in the fear of the Lord. And for our sakes, peradventure, it is that the floors of the righteous are not filled, because of the sins of them that dwell upon the earth. So he answered me and said, Go thy way to a woman with child, and ask of her, when she hath fulfilled her 9 months, if her womb may keep the birth any longer within. Then said I, No, Lord, that can she not. And he said unto me, In the grave the chambers of souls are like the womb of a woman. For like as a woman that travaileth maketh haste to escape the necessity of the travail, even so do these places haste to deliver those things that are committed unto them. From the beginning, look, what thou desirest to see, it shall be shewed thee. Then answered I and said, If I have found favor in thy sight, and if it be possible, and if I be meet, therefore, shew me then whether there be more to come than is past, or more past than is come. So he wants to know, listen, have we been through the majority of it yet? And guess what? Even back then in the Babylonian times, that wasn't the most of it. Lord willing, we've been through the most of it now, and we're right at the end, and thank the Lord. But we've been there before. So we've had to suffer through a lot of time, man. That's just how the game goes, man. The game is the game, man. Right? What is past I know, but what is for to come I know not. And he said unto me, Stand up upon the right side, and I shall expound the similitude unto thee. So I stood and saw, and behold, an hot burning oven passed by before me. And it happened that when the flame was gone by, I looked, and behold, the smoke remained still. After this there passed by before me a watery cloud, and sent down much rain with a storm. And when the storm rain was past, the drops remained still. Then said he unto me, Consider with thyself, as the rain is more than the drops, and as the fire is greater than the smoke. But the drops and the smoke remain behind. So the quantity which is past did more exceed. Then I prayed and said, May I live, thinkest thou unto that time, or what shall happen in those days? He answered me and said, As for the tokens whereof thou askest me, I may tell thee of them in part, but as touching thy life, I am not sent to shew thee, for I do not know it. Yeah, that's heavy, man. Nevertheless, this is chapter 5. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the day shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. And we've been through that time. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. Boy, that's these last days we're in now. Wickedness galore. And the land that thou seest now to have root shalt thou see wasted suddenly. But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet, and the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day. And blood shall drop out of wood, and the stone shall give his voice, and the people shall be troubled. And even he shall rule whom they look not for that dwell upon the earth, and the fowls shall take their flight away together. And the Sodomitish sea shall cast out fish, and make a noise in the night, which many have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. There shall be confusion also in many places. So we see the fire shall be off sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. And by the way, the term monster is basically the medical term for a deformed individual. And that's what you're seeing in these last days. Multitudes of deformed children, both physically and mentally. Autism and it's ridiculous, right? That's actually what a monster is. If you look it up in the etymology, a monster is literally someone that's born in a deformity. But before, it was very rare. Now, it's not rare at all. Let's just put it that way. And salt water shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into its secret chamber, and shall be sought of many, and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon the earth. One land also shall ask another, and say, Is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, No. So it's like there ain't nowhere that's righteous in the earth. Not Russia, not America, not nowhere in Africa. There's nowhere, man. It's all wicked nations, man. At the same time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. To shew these such tokens I have leave. And if thou wilt pray again, and weep as now, and fast even days, thou shalt hear yet greater things. Then I awaked, and an extreme fearfulness went through all my body, and my mind was troubled, so that it fainted. So the angel that was come to talk with me held me, comforted me, and set me up upon my feet. And in the second night it came to pass that Salathiel, the captain of the people, came unto me, saying, Where hast thou been? And why is thy countenance so heavy? Knowest thou not that Israel is committed unto thee in the land of their captivity? Up then, and eat bread, and forsake us not, as a shepherd that leaveth his flock in the hands of cruel wolves. Then said I unto him, Go thy ways from me, and come not nigh me. And he heard what I said, and went from me. And so I fasted 7 days, mourning and weeping, like as Uriel the angel commanded me. And after 7 days, so it was, that the thoughts of my heart were very grievous unto me again. And my soul recovered the spirit of understanding, and I began to talk with the Most High again. And he said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one vine. And of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, yeah? And of all the flowers thereof, one lily. And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river. Yes, the river Jordan. And of all builded cities, thou hast hollowed Zion unto thyself, Jerusalem. And of all the fowls that are created, thou hast named thee one dove. And of the cattle that are made, thou hast provided thee one sheep. And among all the multitudes of people, thou hast gotten thee one people. Among all the multitudes of people, thou hast gotten thee one people. Among all the multitudes of people, thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this people, whom thou lovest, thou gavest a law that is approved of all. And now, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many? And upon one root hast thou prepared others? And why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many? And they which did gainsay thy promises, and did believe not thy covenants, have trodden them down. And if thou didst so much hate thy people, yet shouldest thou punish them with thine own hands. Now when I had spoken these words, the angel that came to me the night afore was sent unto me, and said unto me, Hear me, and I will instruct thee. Hearken to the thing that I say, and I shall tell thee more. And I said, Speak on, my Lord. Then said he unto me, Thou art sore troubled in mind for Israel's sake. Lovest thou that people better than he that made them? You see that? Because, Ezra was hurt, and he had that emotion. But you don't love Israel more than the Most High. The Most High has his plan. And the blessing that is going to come upon Israel is greater than anything. And I said, No, Lord, but of a very grief I have spoken, for my reins pain me every hour, while I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High, and to seek out part of his judgment. And he said unto me, Thou canst not. And I said, Wherefore, Lord? Whereunto was I born then? Or why was not my mother's womb then my grave, that I might not have seen the travail of Jacob, and the wearisome toil of the stock of Israel? And he said unto me, number me the things that are not yet come, and gather me together the dross that are scattered abroad. Make me the flowers green again that are withered. Open me the places that are closed, and bring me forth the winds that in them are shut up. Shew me the image of a voice, and then I will declare to thee the thing that thou hast laborest to know. And I said, O Lord, that bearest rule, who may know these things but he that hath not his dwelling with men? As for me, I am unwise. How may I then speak of these things whereas thou askest me? Then said he unto me, like as thou canst do none of these things I have spoken of, even so canst thou not find out my judgment, or in the end the love that I have promised unto my people. You see? So he's trying to say, like, with all the hell that you see, yeah, you hurt, you see Jake messed up, like, and they've been messed up for a long time. And that was back then. How much more so no now? But even so, the Lord loves his people, and it's going to be made evident. All right. And I said, behold, O Lord. And notice you don't hear nothing about the world. It's all about Israel. That's what we've been trying to say. And I said, behold, O Lord, yet art thou nigh unto them that be reserved till the end. And what shall they do that have been before me, or we that be now, or they that shall come after us? And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring, like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first. So I answered and said, couldest thou not make those that have been made and be now, and that are for at once come at once, that thou might shew thy judgment the sooner? Then answered he me and said, the creature may not haste above the maker, neither may the world hold them at once that shall be created therein. It's heavy. And I said, as thou hast said unto thy servant, that thou which givest life to all hast given life at once to the creature that thou hast created. The creature bear it, even so it might not also bear them that now be present at once. And he said unto me, ask the womb of a woman, and say unto her, if thou bringest forth children, why dost thou it not together, but one after another? Pray her therefore to bring forth 10 children at once. And I said, she cannot, but must do it by distance of time. Then said he unto me, even so have I given the womb of the earth to those that be sown in it in their times. For like as young child may not bring forth the things that belong to the aged, even so have I disposed the world which I created. And I asked and said, seeing thou hast now given me the way, I will proceed to speak before thee. For our mother, of whom thou hast told me that she is young, draweth now nigh unto age. He answered me and said, ask a woman that beareth children, and she shall tell thee. Say unto her, wherefore are unto they whom thou hast now brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature? And she shall answer thee, they that be born in the strength of youth are of one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age, when the womb faileth, are otherwise. Consider thou therefore also how that ye are less of stature than those that were before you, and so are they that come after you less than ye, as the creatures which now begin to be old, and has passed over the strength of youth. Then said I, Lord, I beseech thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, shew thy servant by whom thou visitest thy creature. Right? Only got 2 more chapters and we're gonna get to the point. But this is all good stuff, man. I'm telling you, this is all good stuff. And he said unto me, in the beginning when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, and ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundation of paradises were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, or ere the present years were sought out, or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure. Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone. So everything, listen, everything is the Lord's will ultimately, man. This is how the game had to be. This is how the story had to play out. All right, it couldn't have been no other way but how the Lord intended. So we gotta see it through. There ain't no other choice. And or ever sorry, then did I consider these things, and they were all made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. Then answered I and said, what shall be the part in asunder of the times? And when shall be the end of the first? Slack, where was I? Yeah, then answered I and said, what shall be the part in asunder of the times? And notice, so far we ain't heard nothing about no universal salvation, nothing about worrying about no other nations. It's all about Israel. All right. Then answered I and said, what shall be the part in asunder of the times, and when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? Right, the first world and the world to come. Right. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac. See, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob hadn't held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, right? Esau is going to be the end of this world. That's Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. He's the end of the world. This is his thing, and it's going to end on his watch. But what? But Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The world to come is for us. The world to come is for Jacob. That's the kingdom of heaven. See 2 Ezra, second chapter. And I answered then and said, O Lord, thou bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, shew thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou shewest me part the last night. So he answered and said unto me, stand up upon thy feet and hear a mighty sounding voice, and it shall be as it were a great motion. But the place where thou standest should not be moved. And therefore when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and I will make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. So right now we're going through the affliction of Zion, but the days shall come when it shall be fulfilled. It didn't say nothing about the affliction of mankind. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I shew these tokens. The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old. That's happening now, and that's a recent thing. By recent, I mean that's 19th century things, man. You know, when a child can be born prematurely and then they put them in the incubator and they survive. My brother-in-law is one of them. He was hella premature, right? And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. That's going to happen. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound which, when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one another against one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whoso remaineth, so these are all the things that, the tribulations in these last days. Whoso remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation, the end of your world. The men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed. That's that new covenant, and turned into another meaning. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. And these words said he unto me, I am come to shew thee the time of the night to come. If thou wilt pray yet more and fast 7 days again, I shall tell thee greater things by day than I have heard. For thy voice is heard before the Most High, for the mighty have seen thy righteous dealing. He hath seen also thy chastity, which thou hast had ever since thy youth. And therefore hath he sent me to shew thee all these things, and to say unto thee, be of good comfort and fear not. And the beautiful thing is that Ezra recorded these things so we can receive of this gift, this understanding which is of the Lord. Right? That's why we read it. It was written for our learning. Right? Because you gonna have the feelings that Ezra had, and you're gonna receive these answers the same way Ezra received these answers. Right? And hasten not with the times that are past to think vain things, that thou mayest not hasten from the latter times. And it came to pass after this that I wept again and fasted 7 days in the like manner, that I might fulfill the 3 weeks which he told me. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed within me again, and I began to speak before the Most High. For my spirit was greatly set on fire, and my soul was in distress. And I said, O Lord, thou spakest from the beginning of the creation, even the first day, and saidest thou, let heaven and earth be made, and thy word was a perfect work. And then was the spirit, and darkness and silence were on every side. The sound of man's voice was not formed yet. Then commandest thou a fair light to come forth of thy treasures, that thy work might appear. Upon the 2nd day thou madest the spirit of the firmament, and commandest it to part asunder, and make a division between the waters, that the one part might go up and the other remain beneath. All right. The heavens. Upon the 3rd day thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. 6 parts hast thou dried up parts, and kept them, to the intent that of these some being planted of God and tilled might serve thee. For as thy word went forth, the work was made. For immediately there was great and innumerable fruit, and many and diverse pleasures for the taste. And listen, man, there's so much fruit. If you're from one place and you think you've experienced fruit, man, there's innumerable different fruits in the earth, man, all different tastes and flavors. It's crazy. And the flowers of unchangeable color and odors of wonderful smell, and this was done on the 3rd day. Upon the 4th day thou commandest that the sun should shine, and the moon give her light, and the stars should be in order, and gavest them a charge to do service unto man that was to be made. Upon the 5th day thou saidst unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls and fishes. So it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth living things at the commandment of God, that all people might praise thy wondrous works. Then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures, the one thou callest Enoch, all right, which represents man, and the other Leviathan, and didst separate the one from the other for the 7th part, namely where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. Unto Enoch thou gavest one part, which was to dried up the 3rd day, that he should dwell in the same part wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the 7th part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured of whom thou wilt and when. Upon the 6th day thou gavest commandment unto the earth, that before thee it should bring forth beasts and cattle and creeping thing. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. So the chosen people are separated from all others. Yes, all the people on earth today come from Adam, but there's only one chosen lineage, and that is of Israel. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. This is about Israel. Israel is the star of the show, so to speak, when it comes to the nation. Yeah. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. One word, irrelevant. Another word, insignificant. Right? The dust of the balance is insignificant. Like back in the day, yeah, when I was in my wickedness in the world, man will weigh up a banners, yeah, or you weigh up an eighth of the weed, right? That's the only thing I can, because I wasn't no baker. So I could tell you about weighing up weed, just to give you an example. If you ever been weighing up weed or ever been around someone that's always weighing up weed, what you always find around the scales is bare dust, bare weed dust. Yeah. Now, when man weigh up the banners, man are not worried about the dust of the balance. That's why it just sits there. They bag up the weed and man take the bag and gone. But the dust of the balance, nobody, it's insignificant. Nobody don't care about it. That's why it's just there and it just builds up. You understand? This is what it means by the dust of the balance, something which is insignificant. Like like it says here, it's like as if a man has a whole bucket of water and you're carrying that bucket of water and a little drop falls out that's another example I could tell you about. That is a real life example. If you filling up a bucket of water to carry and you drop a tiny little drop, you ain't worried about that. As long as the main part of the bucket is fine, you don't care. It's insignificant. And that's what the other nations are, insignificant. So why would you then believe the Lord would sacrifice his only begotten son for people who he said is insignificant? That's like a man losing his life over the dust of the balance. Have you ever heard such a thing? Have you ever heard of a man losing his life, getting into a beef over the dust of the balance? No, no one cares about the dust of the balance. So that just confirms everything. All right, the dust of the balance, the drop from the bucket, it don't matter. It's insignificant. Ain't nobody worried about that. All right, the Lord don't care about these other nations like that. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which has ever been reputed as nothing, they've always been known to be nothing when it comes to the Lord, and still are, yeah, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? And how long shall this endure? And now we're getting to the final chapter that I wanted to read, because it's going to break it down. Right? And when I have made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel which had been sent unto me the nights before. And he said unto me, Up, Esdras, and hear the words that I am come to tell thee. And I said, Speak on, my God. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case that the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come unto the broad? There is another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water. And one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? And I said, It is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, Even so is Israel's portion. Even so is Israel's portion. So the kingdom of heaven, the world to come, the dominion of that world is for Israel. That's Israel's portion. But Israel got to go through hell to get there. They got to go through all this. And that's what it's all about. It didn't say even so is mankind's portion. It says even so is Israel's portion. The Bible is not a book about mankind. The Bible is a book about the sons of God, the Israelites. And ultimately to the glory of the Heavenly Father. Simple as that. All right. And that's the point I wanted to get to. See how it's all neat. Now, I'm not going to go on, but you can carry on to read, and he's going to explain about the 2/3 and how many of our people ain't going to make it. But that's all part of the Lord's plan. But the point that I wanted to make was up to this point to just show you that in all of this, the angels giving him the wisdom, giving him the understanding, which is of the Lord. Nowhere in here does it say anything about saving the other nations. Nowhere in here does it say anything about sharing with the other nations. It's all about Israel and always has been. Point blank, period. And it's clear from what we've read. So with that, I'm going to say shalom.